conduct the city business. And continue to be with us and bless us. In your name we pray. And we all say amen.
Amen.
Amen. Let's all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We welcome you to our council meeting today, which is February 16, 2015. Just like to add that due to our clerk being out sick, we have present with us today our deputy clerk, Ms. Heather Hall. She does a good job of her everyday work. So I just like to make that known. We do not have minutes of the previous meeting, as accordingly, due to the clerk not having them ready. We'll give you time to get seated. As stated, we do not have the minutes from the previous meeting. to be able to go ahead, but I contacted the regional commission and spoke with Ms. Laura Mathis, and she stated that she didn't see where that would be a prohibition from us conducting city business. So with that being said, we'll proceed to go further. Due to the minutes not being completed and available.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
please, ma'am, the open meetings law requires that an agenda short list be completed and available within 3 business days of the meeting. It doesn't have to be complete minutes, but it has to be a list of the items presented and acted on, if anybody can. That's required by the open meetings law.
Restate that again.
Said the open meetings law requires that anytime you have a public meeting, you don't have to have the minutes available immediately, but you do have to have an itemized outline list of the matters that were discussed and acted on by the council. Just a 1, 2, 3 list of things that were acted on or discussed by the council has to be available within 3 business days.
Do you have that previous list?
I had it, we had it. Somebody put it in our box.
Thank you.
That's what he's talking about.
At the last call meeting, we had the budget adoption and discussed the water. That was acted upon, the budget was adopted, the only, we didn't have the resolution. But I believe, Mr. Cummings will be here today to address that. And the water, we've been, the regional commission is checking into that and has given us the approval that they will work with us with the water department. With that being said, thank you so much. And response to the water was that we requested assistance from the regional commission regarding the water to assist the city with finding a certified water consultant. All right. Sorry about that. We will move right along with the mayor's notes. Just bear with me a minute. With that being said, I have a few notes just for the record. I also checked and read this past week the summary with the open records law stating that while conducting city business, citizens there should not be any disruption ever of a council meeting. The city is here to conduct business, and there should never be any disruption. So if you'd like to see that, go to the website and you will see that under the open records summary and the law and the act. I believe you aware of that, attorney? If not, you can also check it out too.
Well, I don't believe that's in the open record, I think it's in the open meeting law. not the
Right,
open record.
open meeting law. I did see that.
Yes, I am aware of
Okay, thank
it.
you.
Intimately.
Exactly. So we would hope that the citizens would be able to conduct themselves in a very disciplined, dignified, and sophisticated manner. Thank you so much. And also for the record, this past week, this is the mayor's note. I had to contact the sheriff department due to certain citizens speaking out of terms and disrupting the meeting. And so I made him aware that I also addressed my employees, the chief of police and all, about handling the discipline of the meeting, that they should conduct themselves in a dignified manner. And he said, quote, today, to get with your department and let them know that they need to abide by the rules and regulations as an employee of the city. And I've also followed up with that, a letter, and you will be getting a copy from attorney. So, another note regarding employees, there was a question posed about, the days that employees are to be paid. I submitted a statement back at the end of January, according to policy and procedure, and council, I've given you all a copy that we're going to abide by the policy and procedure that employees are paid every other Friday. I submitted a copy, if you all were aware, employees, it was in your, attached with your paychecks, and that's section 402 of the city employee procedure manual. So as far as anybody not ever knowing when you're supposed to be paid, it's every other Friday. And it's listed, in the city employee manual. And do you have a copy of that, clerk, with you? Have you seen it? And you know it states that too. All right, thank you so much. Moving right along. And if you all need a copy, and if the media will have a copy of it, I have it right here. And it's written in stone. All employees are paid bi-weekly on every other Friday. Each paycheck will include earnings for all work performed through the end of the previous payroll period. And it goes on to tell, and this is the city personnel manual. And of course, I have with me the copy where I submitted it to Attorney Boone, January 9th of 2015 of this year. City of Gordon, and it's a memorandum I sent out to all employees from the mayor. And the subject matter was City of Gordon Personnel Manual, Section 402, payday, stating this is a classic example of crime wolf. I want to make it perfectly clear, there was never any question of making payroll. The proof is obvious. Your checks are available today after 2 p.m. and we will maintain this procedure from now on, according to the Personnel Manual, Section 402, paydays. All employees are paid bi-weekly on every other Friday. Each paycheck will include earnings for all work performed through the end of the previous year. So, along with that being said, do know that so that we can relinquish all of this, we will soon be instituting direct deposit for all employees. So there would not be any further discussion regarding that. All right. Our next order of business we will go to is old business. Our first item of discussion is the budget resolution. Confirmation. Is Mr. Daniel Cummings here?
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
As you all will recall from the called meeting last Thursday, Mr. E. pointed out that we didn't have a written resolution on hand due to some miscommunication. What you should have in front of you is a resolution that would confirm, really memorialize the vote that took place last Thursday. I had gave you all the opportunity to take a look at it beforehand, and Mr. Green also reviewed it. And so if you have any questions about it, I'll be happy to answer those. If not, it's certainly open for you all to choose to vote on.
So with the the resolution confirmation, you all have a copy, do you not? So with the understanding, I'll give them time. Or would you all like for me to read it? I think in previous times they've asked me to read it. So I'll just go ahead and read it. City of Gordon, Georgia, State of Georgia, a resolution to adopt the fiscal year 2015 budget resolution for each fund of the City of Gordon, Georgia, appropriating the amounts shown in each budget as expenditures, expenses, adopting several items of revenue anticipations, and prohibiting expenditures or expenses from exceeding the actual funding available, whereas sound governmental operations require a budget in order to plan the financing of services for the residents of the City of Gordon, and whereas Title 36, Chapter 81, Article 1 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated ACA, requires a balanced budget for the city's fiscal year, which runs from October 1st to September 30th of each year, and whereas the City Council of the City of Gordon have reviewed the proposed fiscal year 2015 budget as presented by the mayor, and whereas each of these funds is a balanced budget, so that anticipated revenues and other financial resources for each fund equal the proposed expenditures or expenses, and whereas the City Council voted to adopt this proposed budget as a fiscal year 2015 annual budget at a special call meeting on February 12, 2015. And whereas the City Council wishes to memorialize this vote in a formal resolution. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and City Council of the City of Gordon, Georgia as follows. Section 1, that the proposed fiscal year 2015 budget attached hereto and incorporated herein as a part of this resolution is hereby adopted as the budget for the City of Gordon, Georgia for fiscal year 2015, which begins October 1st, 2014 and ends on September 30th, 2015. Section 2, that the several items of revenues, other financial resources, and sources of cash shown in the budget for each fund in the amounts shown anticipated are hereby adopted, and that the several amounts shown in the budget for each fund as proposed expenditures or expenses and uses of cash are hereby appropriated to the departments named in each fund. Section 3, that all appropriations shall lapse at the end of the fiscal year. Section 4, that this resolution shall be and remain in full force and effect from and after its date of adoption. Adopted this 16th day of February 2015, City of Gordon, Georgia, by myself, Mayor Whipple-Lou, and it's going to be attested by Heather Hall, Assistant City Clerk. So do I have a motion that we have to accept the resolution?
Question. We've got $150,000 that have not been accounted for in this budget. We mentioned that to you at the hearing the other night. We've got to clear that matter up. That money was withdrawn from the One Georgia Fund, and it is not in this budget, and it's not part of our budget. We cannot go any further until we clear that item up. You know, before we adopt anything, we need to make sure that money is accounted for. You know, we didn't vote to move it, and it's not in the budget, see? So you tell me what we need to do.
Well, I would say, you know, concerning that 150, if it has been moved within the accounts but has not been expent, then it wouldn't be in the budget. And so if it's moved from one account to another, that's not an issue of that budget. If it has been spent, then that's something that would need to be taken into consideration with that budget.
It hasn't been spent.
Yeah, but the money had been moved since October the 1st when our year started. The money was moved and put in the general fund in the bank. It has not been accounted for in any of our budget. We hadn't voted on it, and so that money is there. It's going to be an accounting nightmare if we don't do something with it, you know.
Okay.
It's a revenue source, but it has not been approved and has not been voted on.
It really is not a revenue source. It's really just a cash transfer between bank accounts. So it really, if it's just a transfer between bank accounts, it does not need to be accounted for in your current budget. Because you're just transferring money from one account into another account. So that would not play into your current year's budget. It's just money that's sitting there that can be used, but it was still not, it is not a 2015 revenue source for you.
So what do you do with that money?
Well, it's just a transfer between two cash bank accounts. Yes, I mean, it's all within the same fund, so you're really just transferring from one account to another account.
But it's not it hadn't been voted on.
Well, that's an entirely separate issue as to what happened with the 150,000, whether it was authorized or whatever, but in terms of the budget, that would not come into play when you're just talking about a cash transfer.
Try to explain that better to me. I mean, you've got to have all of your money accounted for and voted on as appropriation by this council. Okay?
But that is money that was already in the account
In the reserve account.
right. So you're just taking this, no different than if you, any other bank account you have, if you take money out of there, put it into your operating account to pay your bills. It's no different.
But it's not listed. It has to be in a budget before that money can be used or moved.
Well, again, I think that's a totally separate issue from what we're talking about here.
How? Explain to me.
If the cash is already in your Georgia 21 account,
It's there.
it was taken out and put into another general fund account. So you're just moving cash to cash. There's nothing else that's happened.
But you can't move money that hadn't been approved by this
Well,
council.
again, that's a different issue than the budget itself. That is still not a revenue source of money that, the money was already there. It's not new money coming in.
But it was in the One Georgia Fund account, and it has not been voted to be moved.
Well, but that's a separate issue from the budget.
So how's it going to be accounted for in budgeting?
It wouldn't be.
Would be or wouldn't
It would
be?
not be.
If it was spent at some point, at that point it would become a reflection on the budget because that would be an expenditure. But if you're moving it from one account to another, it wouldn't be reflected on.
Yes, until that money is spent, it's really, because at that point, you're just taking money, using money out of reserves as opposed to having a balanced budget.
But you can't move money unless it's budgeted and approved by the council. It's always been that way, Mr. Matt.
Well, but until that money is spent, and then that would be when you have to do an amendment to, amend your budget for those additional expenses that are gonna be used, that 150,000 is gonna be used for.
Any further discussion? Council?
Right now, in your budget, that 150,000 is not being used.
So it can't be used. Not in this budget.
Right.
Right.
If it were to be used, you'd have to do an amendment to that budget right there to use
Right.
that 150,000 that is currently, or was in reserves, now is in your operating account.
Okay, so you answered part of the question, but not all of it, about the legality of the
Well,
money being moved.
again, that's a totally separate issue, and that's
Okay.
not in my realm of capacity and
I
knowledge. so.
understand, but I'm stating it to you that it was not legally moved by this council, okay?
Any further discussion? No further discussion? Do I recommend that, I'd like to recommend that we take a pardon? Yeah, I read it. To accept the, what are you saying? I couldn't hear.
We had already approved the adoption of it.
No, I'm talking.
Right. This resolution
The
would just
resolution.
would be memorializing that.
Right, that's what we're doing.
Right. So we'd have something on paper.
Right. So can I get a motion that we accept the resolution?
I offer motion that we accept the resolution for the budget. Second.
Motion has been made and second. Roll call. Council, Dansley? Thank you. Motion carries. The budget resolution has been confirmed. Thank you, Mr. Cummings.
Very welcome.
And Mr. Matt. We'll go ahead and sign this. Okay. All right, thank you. Our next order of business is the, RICO copy of lease agreement. And I received, a fax from Attorney Boone's office, and please see the attached revised lease agreement. Mr. Boone has reviewed the contract and will sign off on it as revised. Please place the lease agreement on the agenda for Monday night to be considered and approved if the council is in agreement. If you need any additional information, please give us a call. So I think we all are aware about the, it was addressed previously, but we have the lease agreement here before us, and council, can I entertain a motion that we accept the lease agreement as provided to us from Attorney Boone's office?
I so move.
Sir?
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Any questions or? Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote.
We did not get a copy of that. Me, Whitmore did not get a copy of that agreement.
You have a copy, council. Did you have one? Do you have an extra one? Anybody else need a copy? Do you have one? You got one. You sure? I'm gonna leave you out.
We gotta look at it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You all wanna take a few minutes just to look at it? Attorney, is there anything you need to state on here, the date or?
No, ma'am, except peripherally, you know, I'd just like to ask how much longer y'all intend to use my professional services and not pay for them.
Can we just stay with this agreement
That is to do with the agreement.
this is the RICO copy we're talking about
Yes,
right now?
ma'am.
Could you address that?
I
This,
did.
right now?
I did in my
I'm just
memo.
saying, do we go ahead and put the date of today's date?
Whenever it starts, yes, I don't know what date they want to start it on. But again, I appreciate getting paid for what I'm doing. You keep
Thank you,
taking,
we'll address that
you
later.
keep using my legal services, don't pay for them. Is there a reason for that?
We're not addressing that at the moment. I'd like to get this RICO agreement addressed.
Yeah, I've
Thank
read
you. This addendum dated as of the day of is certain, what date do I go ahead and supply today's date? I mean, you're the, as you say, the city attorney.
I don't know when the old and end, whether it's gonna be started simultaneous with the, end the old lease or what, so it really doesn't matter, whatever day they deliver the machine, I guess, would be the appropriate date.
Our clerk is not here, so I guess the clerk is, what is that? Date that he has?
I would suggest you start it the day they deliver, otherwise you don't have a machine to use, you're paying for it.
address this tonight? I mean, what do we do?
Approve it subject to delivery machine, at least the day they deliver.
You got that written down? So what day is that?
I don't guess, they have delivered that, have
No, we still have the old machine.
they? You still have the old one?
So what they'll need to do is contact,
Just call and say that the council approved the lease, and then bring the machine, pick up the old one.
oh, okay. So until such time, that
Is it
they'll be,
Rico, too, same company?
Yes.
Okay. Just tell them that the council approved the lease and bring them a copy.
all right, so council, y'all are in agreement, right? It's been motion and second, can I have roll call? All the ayes have it. Motion success. Thank you. Handle that, Coach. I'll leave it right there. Thank you so much. Our next order of business, will be regarding the audit. Malden and Jenkins, CPA, would you please come forward?
Now let's sit this right. Hopefully that's not a fault.
Good afternoon, good evening. How are
Good
you?
evening.
Just pass out some things we can walk through and talk about. First things first, my name is G.B.R. Edwards. I am a partner of Malden Jenkins CPA. I've been with the firm, I'm about to say this, 29 years.
Oh, my. No, look, 29.
I feel it. But nonetheless, all I do is work with governments. Don't ask me a 1040 question, I can't answer it. Give you a little bit of information about what I put in this little information package for you. Number one, I appreciate you all asking us to come visit with you today. We're right down the road. I think we're like 17 miles away from your office, from our office. We're in downtown Macon. We currently serve, as you can see on the first page, about 250 governments. Most of those are in Georgia. Local governments by and large. About 80 cities. We're talking about cities that range from Sharpsburg to Roswell, things like that. City of Macon, for example, Augusta, Richmond County, those kind. We also have smaller ones like Whitesburg, Sharpsburg, Tybee Island, and Toccoa, and lots of smaller communities as well. We're really across the board on all kinds of governments, different kinds, different sizes, different operations. You can see again, 80 cities roughly, about 40 counties, about 40 school districts, and another 20 state of Georgia entities, like the Georgia Ports Authority, for example.
Wow.
And then 70 special purpose governments like libraries, water authorities, those kind of things. We serve a lot of different governments, all different sizes. Myself, I also teach. I've been teaching now over a decade with the Carl-Benson Institute of Government. I'm sure you all have been to some of their own classes. I teach the accounting, continuing education to the people in the governmental sector. I've been doing that again, I think about 12 years. I'm speaker at a lot of different conferences. Again, this is all I do. It's kind of weird to sit here and say that. When you went to college, I had no idea that I'd be doing governmental. I didn't even take my governmental course when I was at the University of Georgia. And when I saw that on the CPA exam, I said, I won't even have to know that. I'll just skip that. Well, that's all I do now. So it's kind of funny how it all works. Going down the second page is talking about some things. We've got a lot of staff. We've got a lot of people. We've got about 80 people that do nothing but governmental. We're based, our governmental practice is based out of Macon. We do have other offices, but I'm the one in charge of it. I'm in Macon, and we're the ones out of Macon that make sure that the firm as a whole is doing the right thing. We do all the Q&As and that kind of thing out of Macon. And again, it's all headquartered out of Macon, so it's right down the street. We've got a lot of people with a lot of experience. We're very responsive. We very much believe that this is one of those things that it's like any other service industry. It's all about service. It's all about being timely. It's bringing knowledge to the table. Not just my knowledge, but my staff people. The people that would come out here to serve you, this would not be their first government they've ever touched. The people that work for me are 100% governmental as well. And so they can jump from a city to a county, back to a city, to a water authority, to a school district. They're always thinking CASB, which is the authoritative body that all these financial reports have to be following. They're always thinking about independence and the GAO standards that are out there. And again, we bring to you a group of people who, from A to Z, are always thinking governmental just like I am. It's really a neat thing to get an email firm might email back tax, I can just sit there and hit delete. You know, because again, don't do any of that. But again, we're all about being responsive, we're all about being timely, bringing people out here to you all. Another thing that you see on the third page, that we put on there, the first bullet, and I think this is very applicable here. We give free continuing education to our government clients. We give 4 quarters a year, we have courses that we tailor for all of our clients. And we have them in Macon typically, and somewhere in Atlanta. We try to use our clients' facilities, create some networking environments. And we invite our clients to come, we give them the topics. They kind of tell us what the topics need to be. We kind of keep a pulse of what's going on in the industry and what's something people want us to talk about that's relevant. And we have about 100 people per quarter attend our quarterly CPE. And again, it's free. We started this in March of '09 when everybody was going through the recession and cutting from their budget training. And we thought, you know what? A good client's an educated client. Let's bring our knowledge and experience to the educational element, and let's start teaching them what we know and what we think they need to know. So this March will be 6 years we've been doing this on a quarterly basis. It's been very well received, and again, it's only something we offer to clients. We understand that an audit is really more about, a lot of people just look at it as a compliance document. We have to do it. We have to have an audit. We try to make it more value added. Believe it or not, we want to make it one of those kind of experiences where your management, your staff, look at it and say to us and say to you all, wow, you would not believe what we learned from this process. What a fresh set of eyes that was, and what they taught us was very, very good. What we want to do is help our clients become very autonomous of us. And that's very important when it comes to independence anyway. You know, the auditor's not supposed to be doing your bookkeeping for you and then calling it an audit. We're supposed to be doing an audit. At the same time, you know, I think in today's world, you need to look at having maybe a little bit of both. Your prior audit firm out of Sandusville, I understand they were doing a lot of things for you. And they even cited a finding, the first finding, and they repeated this finding every year. They cited a finding about the fact they didn't think the city had personnel on staff that could take responsibility and had the knowledge and experience of financial reporting. That's not unusual to have that kind of problem. I mean, we're a community of about 2,000 people here. We're not expected. Every community, Leslie, Georgia, Gray, Georgia, Wadley, Georgia, all these different communities, how are they going to be on top of the game and have somebody that's a financial expert on financial reports? It's a very tough environment. A lot of these communities have found themselves having to get 2 CPA firms. They have somebody that helps them do a closeout, do the financial statements, get them, get all the numbers right, and then they have somebody who does the audit. In the past, y'all had someone who did both essentially. It helps you all close out, wrote up a finding, which to me, I question how they can be independent if they're going to say that you all couldn't take ownership of the statements. They are the ones that draft them. I'm saying to you, based on the finding, I think in today's world, it would behoove us to have 2 sets of people looking at things. Someone who helps close it, write up the statements, do the footnotes, all the schedules, help you all get the numbers right, and then another party do the audit. And as you can see at the bottom of that page, I say we can help you with either one. We do both of those services for different clients. We've got some clients that all we do is to compile their financial statements, help them close out, help them get the numbers right, and hand the statements and all the results thereof to an auditor. We've also had the other way around. Someone else does the closeout, and they hand it to us, and we're the auditor. I think right now you've got to look at trying to find maybe 2 different parties who can help you do things right and do the right things. We'd like to be one of those parties to help you do so, and believe that our experience from our staff people to our partners, that we can bring a lot of good things to the city of Gordon to help you all get through the different difficulties that you're going through. I will say this, I mean, I looked at your finances back in 2013, actually pretty impressive. You all have about almost 2 years worth of fund balance between your top 2 funds, your capital projects fund and your general fund. 2 years worth of fund balance is not something you see in many places, large or small, across this country, not mention this state. You all have that kind of fund balance and financial strength is really very impressive. And so what I would like to do is help you all figure out how we can best go down the road of how we use those funds. How do we not use the funds? The question, Mr. Edie, that you asked me earlier to the regional commission people, it's a confusing question, and it is hard to understand. Is this something that has to be budgeted or not? I've had the same discussion with many elected boards about, is that a budget item or not a budget item? I agree with what these 2 individuals told you. That's not a budget item. That's something like Matt was saying. You might, I don't know what your charter requires about who can be the authorized signature and moving funds, but that's not a budget item. That's what I would like to help you all better understand and better be able to go forward, is looking at how things work. Let's look at your operations. Let's make them better, and let's do things right, do the right things. And I only want to serve clients that want to do things right and do the right thing. And if you all want to do that, I'd love to give service to you. So again, the final pages that are included in this is just to give you a little taste of who our clients are. It's ABT, it might be too much information, but it does show you these are relatively current clients.
Almost 159 counties.
Well, with 159 counties, we audit about 40 of them. And most of those 40 are the larger ones. We do have some small ones, like Taylor County, Georgia has been a client of ours for over 20 years. And then Gwinnett County is a client of ours. So we've got, again, large and small. We also have gone into South Carolina with some of our county audits as well.
I see Tennessee.
Tennessee, we've got a Chattanooga office. There's a young man up there trying to take the lead on helping that get established. But again, it's all HQ'd out of Macon. So. And you can get on the last page, you can get a little sample of what we did as far as pre-continuing education. And just some of the subjects that have been relevant over the last 6 years. And we get down to the grassroots. It's not just all talking about the current things that are going on in the industry, but sometimes we find that our people in governments, especially governments this size, they need some hand-holding about what's a debit, what's a credit. And let's talk about just the revenue cycle. Let's just talk about the expenditure cycle and what's the right way of doing things. And it's been very well received by our clients. It's been very good information for them to take home. So again, I'm here today to tell you we'd love to serve you either as your auditor or as your accountant. And you all make the call if you want to use this at all and what capacity you would enjoy using this.
Are you prepared to bid on both the audit and doing the accounting for the whole year, or separate? I mean, you know, do one and then the other?
Right now, I really don't think bidding is the right thing to do. And because the fact you all have an audit that's in arrears, you have a lot of issues here that have taken a lot of time. I mean, since the mayor contacted me, I probably have about 20 hours of reading about the city, looking at videos and understanding what's going on. And there's some strife here. And until the strife is really addressed, it's hard for a person to be in my shoes to bid on something and say, here's my flat fee. Now, if things are just working just pretty beautifully and life is good, I know how to bid on that. But when you have a budget, for example, that's just now being approved today, it's already 5 months into the new year.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's very hard for an auditor or an accountant to sit here and say, oh, what would my bid be on that? So I'm really not at the liberty of telling you what I'm bidding. I will tell you I want to help you, and I will tell you that it'll be value added, and that the last thing I want to do is have anyone sitting in this room, including all these people out here, to think that Walden Jenkins is trying to charge you all a lot and not give you a lot. We want to charge you a little and give you a lot. That's what we want to do. But again, I don't think this is a bid environment to be in right now. So if I was asked to bid, I would decline.
So you're saying that this would be two different firms, if your firm do the auditing, and we get another firm, that we would need another firm?
Another firm or another person. I know people out there who actually help some clients of ours, but there's a couple of people that I can call on who just love serving clients to help them close out and get themselves in order. The trouble we've got is when your prior auditor has sat there and said that you all don't have the capacity and knowledge and expertise to take ownership of your financial statements. Well, there's supposed to be a line drawn. And if we do your drafting your financial statements as your auditor, we have to know that you have somebody on the other side who's ready to take ownership of that draft. And what the prior audit's implying is there's not anybody over there to take ownership of that draft. So that makes me back up and say, okay, then we need to have somebody who can not only help you close out, but who can help you take ownership of a financial report. And like I said, we've got clients we do that part for, and we have those we do the audit for. I'm happy to help you either way.
How long have the state been requiring that cities, you know, do the audits every year? You know, as far as I can remember, you know, for over 30 years, we've never had a bad audit.
Well, let me explain what a bad audit is. I had this conversation just about a month ago with another ongoing client. You may be right. Y'all never had a bad audit, meaning that you may have always gotten clean audit opinions, what we call unmodified audit opinions. That's what you want to hear. Sure. It's for the auditor to stand here and say your financial statements do present fairly in all material respects, your financial position and your results and operations. That's what you want to hear. But when you look at findings and you start seeing some of the nature of the findings, that's where all of a sudden I might sit there and say to a client of mine, yeah, I gave you a clean audit opinion, but I might have 8 material weaknesses that show that you've got internal control problems and violations of law problems that need to be addressed. Yes, we were able to hurdle things, get things adjusted and closed out correctly, but but throughout the year, you may not have had good information available to you because the controls were not there that should have been there. That to me means there's things to improve upon. And what I like to do is help my clients get down where I can't even tell them there's anything to improve upon. They've accepted all my suggestions of the past, and they are moving forward in a very good direction. And I'd love to be sitting here in a couple of years and say to you, I have no recommendations. You all, starting with you at the council and the mayor, if you all address everything that's ever mentioned and you conquer all those problems, I'd be happy to sit here in a couple of years and say, I gave you a clean audit opinion and there's no findings.
Okay, and,
Go ahead.
okay, you said that, okay, you checked ours, you looked at it already, and, you said that you found that we had 2-year fund balance, that we
Oh, your fund balance, your two primary
We do
funds,
have
you've got a
mine.
general fund and a capital projects fund
uh-huh.
that have almost 2 years worth of fund balance in it.
So going is,
I mean, that's real impressive, I tell you.
So would we have any reason not to have money to meet payroll? If that is what you're saying?
I've listened to the questions being asked and some of the other things I've read. I think you all just need to look at your situation and say, how can we best utilize our fund balance? The 3 years prior to this last year,
I mean, this is excuse me for interrupting, but this has happened twice, that we're supposedly not able to have been able to meet payroll.
it seems to me like you must have some of your money tied up in CDs. When I came by to visit with you that day and mentioned that to the city clerk, it was indicated to me that the monies that I was seeing in the financial statements were indeed certificates of deposit. And you had
But you
money in
mentioned-
Georgia Fund 1 and that kind of thing, like I heard earlier today, which is not unusual. The trick is how do we then look at our fund structure and say, how can we best avoid the seasonality of our revenue streams, which property taxes creates a seasonality. But you ought to be a 9/30 year end, which is usually the skinniest time of year for most governments, because property taxes not come in. If you'd be sitting here at 9/30 each year and have almost 2 years worth of fund balance sitting there between your two most primary funds, highly impressive. The trick is, how can we work together to best utilize it? We don't want to see it go down, 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 and you all did utilize fund balance to the tune of about $800,000 over a 3-year period with 11, 12, and 13. I'm not troubled by that, because you still had a great amount of fund balance. So sometimes people have fund balances and it's time to use them, sometimes we gotta build them up. I think about the Benton County Board of Education, back around 2006, they were actually violating the state law on what the mandate was about the maximum fund balance you could have. Well, silver lining, it's a good thing they had more than enough, because then it helped them weather the recession that we went through. Now they're sitting here today, not having that kind of fund balance, and their goal is to try to find a way to build that up so they can be proactive in all the initiatives that that government wants to do. You all are sitting in a great position right now that you can be very proactive with all initiatives if you want to. The trick is you want to be careful about it, not be foolish with it, but y'all have really good looking things sitting here
Well,
right now.
let me interject this and ask, because prior to your comment, I asked early on, and I think before Councilman Reese's demise, this is nothing with you, but previously he had asked, when we were trying to pay the previous auditor, so we thought, and he said that we would need to, we could just bust a CD. Was the
Well,
word
you know,
that he used.
I don't know
so-
what the penalties are with your CDs. I don't know how that works. Most CDs right now are not paying that much. Most of my governments right now, not all, most, are not even using certificates of deposit. They're putting in Georgia Fund 1.
That's all we do.
Well, okay, so you got it all wrapped up in Georgia Fund 1,
So I
which is fine,
asked-
which is great.
I'd like to say, so, being that you mentioned that we have the CDs, I'd asked the clerk about that, and she said we didn't have any.
Okay.
So until you're coming in is when she stated that, and you can.
Well, it may be just misunderstanding on how the question was asked and answered. In the end, you've got cash. You've got cash and cash equivalent type monies, whether it's in Georgia Fund 1 or CDs, all that is what I would consider cash. If you and I were married, and we're sitting there and I said, well, I've got all my money in CDs, but we need to pay the mortgage, you'd be telling me, let's go over and get the CDs redeemed so we can pay the mortgage.
Right.
So, you know, that's what we've got to look at here, is how do we want to handle things? This is an operational issue. Again, your financial statements, you are strong.
And you're not looking at the SPLOST fund, are you?
I'm looking at your capital products fund, which does take in SPLOST. But even the general fund by itself, when I look at 2013 audit, you all had about a year and 7 months worth of fund balance just in that one fund line. Really, really impressive.
Is there a
Into-
certain
into
amount
one
of
Georgia
time?
fund.
Well, just
Well,
the
then
general
it was
fund.
CD, and that's into one Georgia
Okay.
fund. We went back and forth.
But again, when I look at fund balance, your fund balance, unlike most communities, a lot of times commissioners and council members come back from these training courses and they're trying to learn what fund balance is. And sometimes they'll say, well, we've got this fund balance of X, and people in management have to say, yeah, but that's got only a small part of that is cash. A large part of y'all's fund balance is cash. I mean, y'all have got a financial statement everybody would want.
And you consider too that part of it is a water and sewer fund, and that water and sewer fund is a proprietary fund, and it has to be supported on its own right.
It does, and that's a shame, but it's not unusual, but at least it's not having to be supported by any kind of tremendous amounts. It's not like you're having to pass over $500,000 and $600,000 a year to it. I do have some clients that have to do that.
Yeah.
They'll have to transfer $1 million, $2 million a year to the proprietaries that aren't very proprietary. But yours is not that bad. And again, I think that's one of those kind of things that if you want to work with somebody like myself, I'll help you all think, come up with 5-year plans. Let's come up with a mission, let's look at rates, let's look at what we need to do. I think all the people out here can best appreciate inflation. Nobody likes to be surprised and all of a sudden in year 3 have a 20% rate hike. What we'd rather have is things just slowly over time be working at the most efficient level, and let's just go up small little tidbits at a time as warranted. And I think it's the kind of thing that y'all just need to look at. Look at your rate structure and say, do we have a 5- and a 10-year plan of how we want to approach this? Those are the kind of things I would like to help you with.
And I would too, I like to have that kind of help.
Exactly.
And you do offer classes.
Oh, yes.
So the.
And city council members, mayors can come to them.
We do have some new council members and things, and I went through that.
It's open not just to the management people, it's up to the governing board people.
Okay.
Well, we all need it.
We all need it. Let me make something very clear, and I want to say this almost to the whole room. Whenever we pick up a new client of a certain size and character, it has to be approved by our executive committee. Our executive committee, until the last 5 years, I was not on it. It was made up of our more stately, elder gentlemen that owned the firm's higher ownership. And they had to always approve clients that are new of a certain size. It's risk management is what it's about. These are people that are CPAs. These are people who know numbers. But if they don't do governmental, they are lost little lambs, because that's how complicated these financial reports have gotten. So here could be a 40-year veteran, a tax-type CPA, looking at me and saying, what is this report trying to say right here? And I have to explain it to them because it's so unique. So for anybody to be in the audience, to anybody to be in your shoes, to be on city council, or be the mayor, especially being what you do, I'm not envious. This takes me 29 years to understand it. So.
One other question, we did not use our previous auditors very much during last year at all. We went back and forth on a lot of our line items that got way out of, the budgeted numbers. What you're supposed to do before the new year starts is you're supposed to, get your auditors to help you come up with, amendments to cover all of those charges, go back in your budget and look and see if there was any line items you didn't spend the money, and you can move that money around so that you can have it all fixed up before this new year started. We didn't do that. We hadn't done it yet. So did you look at that, or have you been told that, or did you know
No, I
that?
had not been told it, but let me just say one thing. Auditors were not supposed to be doing that. We're not supposed to be doing that. That's part of management. We're supposed to be auditing what you all do, not helping you all do it. For instance, if all of a sudden anybody here was trying to apply for a job and you say, Mayor says, can you come over here and interview them all? I cannot interview these people and tell you who I'm going to hire. I can sit on a committee of about 5 and say, well, I like that lady right there. What do y'all think? But it's y'all's decision. I can't do these kind of things as your auditor. So if you're looking for that kind of help, then I think you don't need me to be your auditor. I'd like to be your accountant and help you go through and think about things, what's the right way of doing things. Let's get things taken care of. Let you be the person, you call me all the time with questions. Let me help you get it right. But as the auditor, I'm supposed to draw a line and say, I'm auditing, not duty. And that was something that came out after Enron. When Enron happened, I'm sure everybody remembers the name Enron. All the independent standards became very, very rigid. I mean, there was days, Mr. Edie, back in yesteryear, that I'd have clients that would, the audit might represent about 20% of what I charge them all year. Because the auditing standards, the independent standards back in the 1990s would allow me to do bank reconciliations, fix their accounts receivable, come out and help them with their budget, do all those things. But around 2002, the line in the sand was drawn, it was very firmly drawn, and said, auditors don't cross that line. So we have to be careful what we do as an auditor. But again, I'd love to be of help to you, any which way you all.
But you made a statement that you could do that, but you knew somebody that, you know, could come in and help us. And what, they could have been doing the same thing. I don't know that myself, you know.
Well, I know people that are retired. I know firms that also do what I do, and we just kind of swap out and say, okay, you want to be the auditor, I'll be the accountant. There's all kinds of different ways to skin the cat. The fact of the matter is, your prior auditors made it very clear for several years in a row, you all need to get some greater knowledge in your ranks. And if that's the case, I can't be your financial statement preparer and your auditor.
Right.
Now, if all of a sudden 3 years from now, the star has been born, and all of a sudden sit there and you know your stuff, I can sit back and say, okay, these people have the capacity now to take responsibility for their financial statements. I may draft them, but they have the ability to take responsibility and ownership of it. When that day comes, life is good. I have a lot of clients that is the case, where they don't have a third-party accountant, but they have somebody on staff that helps them take ownership of what we prepare and draft for them for them. That's the trick, and it is a trick. And that's about what I can call it. It's a judgment call. But again, your prior auditors made a judgment call that I have to respect until I see otherwise.
Any further questions, council? I'd like to say, Mr. Malden, Ms. Miller Edwards, I know, that council is, giving me leeway to take the 3, and, we've got, one other that I will need to bring before, and, there are others who heard what's been going on, and I'm sorry, council, I make no apologies, but the 3 that you all have, the list of names that the regional commission has given me, several of them said, based on what we're going through, they're just not. So we'll just have to.
And I'm not gun shy. It's just we gotta do things right and do the right
Right,
things. And let's
exactly.
pick what we wanna do, and let's learn from it, let's make ourselves better.
Right.
The beautiful thing is, you're not in a deep hole right now trying to figure out how to deal with the deficit.
Right.
You actually have a good situation to work from. You have a very enviable position to be in right now.
So I'd like to say to council at the next council meeting that I do plan to bring you back, my recommendation as to who we will use as the auditor / accountant.
But it'll be this council that makes that decision.
We'll go with that, yes, understandably, and also, the council will need to, advise you, if you're selected, to please have an engagement letter.
No problem.
Because my understanding is that before I became mayor, there was never a mention about the engagement letter, and I'd like to take it, and it was, done in all modesty and sincereness that when, and I've gone back to pretty much check, and there was no engagement letter. So we want to be transparent, we want integrity, we want all of the positive, and like a dear friend said to me, and I believe it, and I thought too, an engagement was when you were getting married. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Council, I'd just like to say to you all on this note, to note that you can now exit out of the old business and move to the, new business. On your agenda, I think, with our clerk, there was an oversight of going into the new business. What's that? We realize we're still human. Is that what it is? Okay. Well, our next item is the heating system. I just want to tell you about this, the line of business about, in the office there at City Hall, we have a problem, and understandably, it's been for not just now, but for years. I have the employees on one end of the, I think the building was built in what year? In the 70s? And so that's been almost 40 years, and I just like to bring to council's attention that we will be upgrading the system, the heating system there, because when I'm warm, the other side are cold and freezing. So when they're hot, I'm cold. So we're just going to have to do something about that, and I've spoken with, our superintendent of public works. Is he here? Of course, that's not his area of expertise, am I right about the building? One side being hot and the other cold, and we talked about that, so.
Yes, ma'am, you said that, and I think Heather had already also said that, when they're warm, it's hot in your office, and vice versa.
Right.
When they're cool, it's cold.
So I just wanted to bring that to you all's attention, that we've got to bring in some, what do you call them? Heating, so just be aware of that. All right, thank you so much. Our next item on the agenda is the Arbor Day Foundation. And I received a letter saying, "Dear Tree City USA supporter, on behalf of the Arbor Day Foundation, I write to congratulate Gordon on earning a recognition as a 2014 Tree City USA State of Georgia. Residents of Gordon ought to be proud to live in a community that makes the planting and care of trees a priority. Your community joins more than 3,400 Tree City USAs with a combined population of 140 million. The Tree City USA program is sponsored by the Arbor Day Foundation in partnership with the U.S. Forest Service and the National Association of State Foresters. As a result of your commitment to effective urban forest management, you already know that trees are vital to the public infrastructure of cities and towns throughout the country, providing numerous environmental, social, and economic benefits. In fact, trees are the one piece of community infrastructure that actually increases in value over time. We hope you're excited to share this accomplishment. Enclosed is this packet is a press release for your convenience as you prepare to contact local media and the public, and we would love to have this in the Hoops County Post. State foresters are responsible for the presentation of the Tree City USA flag and other materials. We will forward information about your awards to your state forester's office to coordinate presentation. It would be especially appropriate to make the Tree City USA Award a part of your community's Arbor Day ceremony. Again, we celebrate your commitment to the people and trees of Gordon, and thank you for helping to create a healthier planet for all of us. Best regards, Matt Harris, Chief Executive. And we have the immediate release that we could get a copy submitted to the local media. Thank you. On the next agenda is a water leak adjustment request. And Court, would you like to talk about that?
I have a water bill adjustment request from Mr. Jesse J. Assad, who was at 130 Holly Street. He noticed a leak approximately around May of 14, and it did run through August of 2014, causing his average bill that was normally 4,000 gallons go up to 10,000, 50,000, 13,000 over a course of 4 months. And he is requesting an adjustment. The leak has been fixed. The account is actually not active anymore. It's going to be on a 99 account, and the account name is now in David Scott.
And we can't go back any further than our beginning year, you know, it can't go any further than September, so didn't you say May and August or something, or is that what I understood you to say?
The leak was started in May of 2014 and went through to August of 2014.
But see, if that's last year, we can't roll over another year.
I
It has-
understand,
Yeah,
right. And I told him, you know,
Right.
we would still present,
okay.
just,
See, the city can't go back in another year. See, our year started in September the 1st. And you can't go backwards, you know, past that year. Our budget stopped and our new one started basically, you know, September the 1st. So it's, the time limit has caught him, you know, now.
yeah.
Yeah. Don't you think so, Mr. Freddie? I mean,
Yeah, that's right.
you know, you have to do it within the
Fiscal year.
fiscal year, yes, ma'am. Because we can't spend money or, you know, do anything last year, this year. So it would have had to been done before September, or, you know, right at it, you know.
Can I ask a question? Councilman Edie, do we have something supporting that?
Oh, in these auditors that we just had, you can't go past, you know, the cutoff of 1 year to the next. You know, we operate yearly from September, you know, October, the end of October. Basically, if he'd brought it to us right then, you know, we could have done it.
Okay,
But-
I see what you're talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
I agree with you, but I just want to know that we have anything supporting that. You know, like with the other incident.
Yes, ma'am.
We had support, something supporting that.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's what I was just saying, do we
Sure,
have?
yes, ma'am. It's all budget audit stuff that you go by. I mean, you know, that's the reason we have a cutoff fiscal year that, you know, we don't roll over back and forth, your monies and all.
So now, even though it happened in that fiscal year, this is a question. If it had continued over beyond the fiscal year, then he would perhaps.
Yes, ma'am. If he'd brought it to us, you know, May and August, if he'd brought it to us in September,
I understand.
yes, ma'am, then it would have been
But I'm
fine.
saying if after September, if it's kept going on, then he would have been able to.
Up to those 3 months, yes, ma'am.
Was that explained to him? So, I mean, you know,
Has there been any since September? I mean, look, that's, okay.
so before we leave here, do we entertain a motion to deny or? And explain to the council. You all have to decide.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I've already made a statement about, you know, basically what the policy should be, you know.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I think I hear, but what'd you say, Council?
If we have a policy on it, then we just need to show him the policy.
Yes, ma'am.
What'd you say, Council?
We need to do what we've been doing for everybody else.
And what is that?
Well, that's what we just said. Stop since September. I mean, you can't give them money that they didn't turn in before because it done ran out. As long as we've done everybody else the same way. That's what keeps you from getting in trouble. You don't do somebody a favor, you don't do somebody else and when you get in trouble. You need to go by what we got to look in the rules and regulations. You can't do it.
So my question is, and I hear what you all are saying, do we have to take a vote on that?
I think I would just give them, you know, that written
Just give him
Yeah.
the
thing, yes, ma'am.
All right, I wanna make sure that y'all are in agreement, so that's what everybody's in agreement, that he be given a written statement with, facts stating that it happened in the, previous fiscal year. So everybody's in agreement with that? All right, so that, are you Mr. Denzel?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so that's what you do for me. All right, I have no further discussion regarding the, any new business. Now we'll hear from, our chief, Mike Hall.
Hey, how y'all doing? What I come up here to talk about, was briefed on the beginning with the payroll. And just a question I had, I know we get paid every Friday, but is it gonna be, 2 o'clock that we get our checks like we always have in the past because we have employees that live in Baldwin County, Jones County. It's always been here at 2 o'clock to pick the checks up. That's the questions I have. Is it gonna be a 2 o'clock deal, or is it gonna be after 2 o'clock?
Right now, Chief, hopefully, as soon as I've already contacted the bank, and, as soon as they say so with the direct deposit, that will not probably be a problem. I know with most state governments, they have a set time that you can pick up, your checks within the department.
What about, if there's an employee that does not have a banking account,
Well,
checking account or nothing?
they, with state government, and you all can help me out, you all were retired government employees too. You wanna elaborate on that?
But y'all want-
Since you were a
No, I
supervisor.
just asked.
No, I know you're
Are they gonna
talking,
have to-
and that's a good question.
You want
So-
to make them get a, checking account, savings account, whatever? If they didn't want one?
Well, the thing of it is that it's not about making, it's what, the times have brought to us in the society where we live. Because I just know that recently, the other day, someone came in and
No, mind y'all be quiet, please.
someone came in and tried to, what happened, they were out of town and were not, available to do business. Simply because of that, and had they had direct deposit, they would not have had to wait. So with you having it already, deposited in the account, it makes it so much simpler.
I have no problem with direct deposit myself, I'd love to have it, I know a lot of my employees like to have it, but,
Right. And
some
that's
of the
what
other
we're
employees,
geared
I'm not
up
sure
for. I
about.
can't, address that one-on. Whatever is the expected, and the bank is saying they wish, we'd hurry and get it. So that's something that's going to be implemented very soon. So that, right now, until such time, the time to pick up checks will still be at after 2.
Yeah, 2 o'clock, like 2:01, 2 o'clock.
And
When you
2:01,
say-
right
That's
on
the
the
reason why I'm
dot.
saying after
Right.
2, does it mean 2, 3,
2:01,
4?
right.
So we-
Mhm.
2
On and
o'clock.
on. Right, up until that
That's what
time.
I was wanting to clarify.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, I did not want the direct deposit. I would rather pick my check up and take it to the bank and cash it.
Thank you very much. All right, our next item of, the next individual on the list is, Mr. George Ryan.
How you doing, sir?
You all, go ahead, Mr. Ryan.
I'm asking someone to let me know when I have 2 minutes. First of all, I want to say that for the majority of tonight, first of all, my name is George Boston. I am the Bureau of Free Press. And for the larger part of the night, I've been filmed by a individual in here. For what purposes, I have no idea, but I want everybody to understand something. I'm very controversial. I've been doing this since '75. Eric holds the Department of Justice. This will be on YouTube probably as well. Justice Department out of Atlanta, and other agencies are aware of what I do. They're familiar with the threats on my life. And so if this individual's pictures show up some places, it will be because of what I didn't do, but what others who are concerned about George Boston Ryan. I'm throwing that out. That was not a part of what I'm going to say tonight, but I'm throwing that out. Okay. First of all, I'm standing here because I was called to Quitman, Georgia, because of the newly elected black mayor there, James Charles Brown III, who wanted an office And when he was inaugurated as the first black mayor, no one came from the council. I was then called to Meigs, Georgia. I was then called to Lumpkin, Georgia, wherein a sitting council member, Debbie Stone, called the sitting mayor, Charles Gibson, a nigger. That is being investigated as we speak. Then I was called to Dawson, Georgia, with Chris Wright, a newly elected black mayor who was shot 6 times, left in his yard for dead. I was then called to Davisboro, Georgia. I was then called to Warrington, Georgia. I was then called to Gordon, Georgia. And I have been called to 11 cities. This is not a game for me. You can record me all you want. You can call me nigger many times as you like. Just like I was called nigger twice coming from Morris Bank on February 6, 2015. That stuff don't deter me. I put 21 years in the United States Armed Forces. This is my DD Form 214, my retirement paper, and one of the many commendation medals that I've gotten while in the United States Armed Forces. The reason I'm sticking around in Gordon for so long is because I've been passing this information on. Because I do not believe that any mother or grandmother should have to go through certain things simply because possibly the color of their skin. I don't believe that. It is obvious of that throughout my 5,000 videos on YouTube, 700,000 views across the nation. When I was called a nigger, that's the only reason I'm standing before you today. I don't have a problem. You can't offend me by calling me a nigger. My grandmother told me about that many years ago. My granduncle fought in wars, told me as a child how he fought the enemy, couldn't use the bathroom in the United States of America, couldn't do some of the other things that are supposed to be guaranteed by the Constitution. When you look at my record, you will see stellar clean in the military, stellar clean in Valdosta, stellar clean everywhere that I've been. The people who try to intimidate me in this city, it won't work. It will not work. I'm committed to the same principles that I served in this United States Armed Forces. I took pride in serving my country. San Antonio, Texas, security headquarters, inside the fence, the generals and the colonels, this is going to be on YouTube as well. That's where I work. And I work with pride. And I love this country until this day. And people who know me, the professors at VSU, at Valdosta State College, they know me. Black and white. They know who I am. My reputation speaks for itself. I'm going to continue to do what I do. Linda Harris, over in Meigs, Georgia, is worse than what's happening here. And as I close, I hope somebody keep it time because I don't want to go over. But let me say this in closing. It saddens me to see all these communities. The people are crying out for help and for some type of easement from what they're going through in these 11 cities. The Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp, Georgia Attorney General Sam Olens, the Governor of the state of Georgia, Eric Holder, Department of Justice, All Civil Rights Division, Women Rights Organization, AFL-CIO, and others. They are watching what's going on. It's not just Gordon. To the people of Gordon, please don't think that it's just Gordon. Please don't think that. And for the white people who think black folks hate you, we don't hate you. And if we do, we shouldn't. Why? Because white folks fought for us, black folk, before we knew what the fight was all about. I know that. I study history.
Now, right.
So I'm going to take my seat. Seems like nobody tell me about the time. I think my 3 minutes about it. But wait. Let me say this. If anybody think that I tried to belittle them or down them, let me know, and I will apologize. There is no hatred in me. What I love is God's people. And what I love is for this nation to go up and not regress. That's what I want to see. So, Mayor and Council, I want to say this to you as I close for sure. When I was called a nigger twice, I'm not calling no names. I'm not going to use the video that I turned around. I'm not going to do that. Why am I not going to do that? Because that's not what it's about. What it's about is building a better city. Whether it's Meg, Dalton, Whitman, Warrington, David, that's what it's about. When I was in the military, they didn't tell me nothing about no black and no white, no Democrat, no Republican. They told me to do what I need. I served in the Vietnam era. They didn't need all that. Yes, sir. If y'all have any questions for me? Yes, sir.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
I have a question.
Please do. Yes, all questions.
Do you live in Gordon?
No, I do not live in Gordon.
And so you're not a citizen of Gordon?
No, I'm not a citizen here of the city of Gordon. And, well, no. She asked the question. She deserves an answer. And the answer is, no, I do not. I enrolled in the military in 1971. I didn't serve Gordon. I didn't serve Thomasville, Valdosta, Atlanta, none of them. Or neither of Puerto Rico or our outlying territories. I serve for everybody. And that's why I serve everybody. So when I'm called to these communities, I go because I care. That's why I go. Nobody give me no gas for coming up here for the most part. I do it because I love people. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So my question is, you're under the citizens talking time, and are you appearing as a citizen of Gordon or as a journalist, or how are you appearing here? If you're appearing as a journalist, why does the mayor stop me from speaking?
Madam, I go to a lot of cities. I'm very familiar with the laws of addressing city council. I have no idea, but I will say this. If the mayor stopped you from doing what I'm doing tonight as a journalist to get to Free Press under the name of George Boston Rhymes, if she stopped you after you put in the request to speak as I put in the request, she is wrong in my opinion. If you put in a request tonight, I think that you have a right to be doing the same thing that I'm doing, and I wish you would have. Now that's just the way I see it. Jesus said, what I say unto one, I say unto all. And so if you can't do it unto all of us, don't do it unto any of us.
That's right.
Yes.
You said that you don't try to belittle anybody or make them feel bad. When you hold the newspaper up that I publish and make criticisms about that newspaper, that's offensive to me because you're not going off fact. You're only going off opinion and your emotional feelings. And that's offensive to me.
Madam, I got you. She deserves an answer.
Listen, I'm not saying that, but
The
go ahead and
newspaper's
address
trash.
this.
Mike,
Go
this
ahead,
lady's talking
excuse
out
me.
over here. This lady just called the newspaper trash, and she's talking out of turn.
Excuse me, ladies, right now. You will address that and we will end this. Okay, please, thank you.
Editor Judy, baby, I will say this to you. If what I spoke was an error, or if I spoke that offended you, from my heart I'm sorry. But from my observation, from what I know to be untruths, just like today's paper, I can sit with you, if you would like at any time, with the camera rolling. And let's dialogue the apples and oranges, and let's find out. Somewhere I read, come let us reason together. And that's what is happening in this world today. People are not willing to sit down and reason. It ain't about an argument, because if people looking for somebody to argue with George Boss Ryan, I'm sorry, you got the wrong one. I don't argue.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Excuse me, Miss Bailey.
I'm speaking.
No, I said after he speaks, that would be the end.
Why you didn't
Have it,
cut him
please
off?
have
He
a
went over
seat.
his 3
We are
minutes.
moving further along because you kept asking questions. That's from the mayor. All right, let's have a seat. That's the end of that. So now, moving further along, you and him will have to get together. Y'all can answer all the
I don't
questions
have
you want.
anything else to say to him unless it's in.
All right, thank you. All right, moving further along, we will get a report from the police department.
Hey, and Mayor, I guess you don't want your announcement in there.
Excuse me, Excuse me, Ms. Bailey, you are the media. If anybody ought to be in order and know how to conduct business, it should be you. Thank you. Go right ahead, reports. Streets, all right, we don't have water, and, what else is there? We'll move on to the fire department.
Everything's doing good.
All right, thank goodness the council is doing good, so we'd like to keep it that way. And, we just like to say, is, Better Hometown represented tonight?
Mr. Daniel, I haven't seen him tonight. I don't think he's here.
All right. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'd like to recommend that council that motion to adjourn.
Can I ask a question?
No.
Second motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. Good evening.
I was late, but I came on the stage. I'm so glad y'all here.
It's all right. What's going on?
Relationships and all. Don't forget about that. Okay. Got that down. Got that down, y'all. You said 2 weeks from now, CNN.
This is the second time this has occurred. Now, this, I think this is, no, I didn't. There were 3 times in one night when I went to go across the street, people stepped on Odyssey. And this is only the third time I've been there in several months. Right there.
Right there. He was, I can tell you what happened. Y'all stand back. Excuse me, Sean. He came right here with his video camera. She was coming out. I had to say, excuse me. Excuse me. He was holding the camera steadily on her. Standing right here would not even allow me to come through. I had to go and holler. Excuse me, Roy.
This is what happened.
This is,
Tommy, can you help me clear this? Everybody just needs to get it, so I can get it squared away. All right. Flint, can you help me clear this? Everybody needs to get it.
Come on, Marianne, up and over there. Come on, come on up and over
Madam
there.
Mayor, Madam Mayor,
I was there.
Madam Mayor.
Oh, you was?
Give me just a minute.
Oh, okay.
Don't say that.
I know you were there.
Yes, I was. And I'm not afraid to say
Let's
it.
step down now, but you tell me on camera what happened down there, since you say
I
you was
will.
here.
I was right there.
Let's step down here by the city hall. Go
I
step
will.
over there.
I will. Yes. This is the truth. Jude.
Come on up and out here, man. Hold on, we crazy.
No, they ain't right.
No, he says they won't work.
Stop that.
Madam Mayor, would you tell me what you saw?
As I was proceeding to come out of the city annex door, this guy, the grenade guy, I think the gentleman came up with his camera as if he was planning something, pulled it out, had it in his hand, walked there at the middle where that number is 108, and Ms. Well came out talking to me, and he interrupted her and had the camera on, okay, had the camera up on her, and she asked him to move the camera, and he wouldn't. And as I asked him to excuse me to go in to get the sergeant to come out and take me so that I could leave, to escort me out, I had to say 2 or 3 times, excuse me. And so it went from there.
Okay. Well, did you voluntarily try to explain what happened, or will you provide a statement to the police since you say you was there?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
No problem.
Why don't you go and get on record with the chief of police and tell him that you saw and that you would like to make a statement, if not tonight, some other time?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press. We just want the truth. That's all.
I don't know what happened. I saw him in his birthday. Exactly. But I saw this lady.
Mr. Rhymes, you got to leave too. Back up from here. Okay.
It's 50, law 50 feet. Want to go back 50 feet? That's the law.
No, sir. Been asked to leave because hostility's been going on. Okay.
Okay. Well, we'll leave.
That's the reason
I'm
I'm
law
asking
about
everybody to leave. Okay?
I will leave. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm asked to leave, and 50 feet I've been told, but he said everybody been asked to leave. So for the peace and harmony of everybody, I guess we'll leave.